So hello students, welcome to the second part of your second chapter, that is interpretation of the topographical map 2. Okay, and today we are covering or we are learning topic that is representation of the relief on the map and its interpretation. Okay, so before starting this video or before going to the topic, let me make one thing clear. You have to watch full video. Okay, you have to watch full video, then only concept will be clear to you, and these concepts are very important. Okay, now, so as I told you students, today we are going to learn representation of the relief on the map and its interpretation. Now what is the meaning of representation? Representation means to show or to depict. Okay, so to show the relief. Relief means here students, relief means the actual configuration of the land, which includes height and the slopes of the land or the that features. Okay, so here relief means actual configuration of the land. It includes height, or you can say altitude, and slopes of the land mass. Okay, or the features. So representation of the relief on the map and its interpretation. So interpretation means to follow the signs and the symbols and to understand the things that are given on the map. In simple language, if I will say, then interpretation means to follow, to understand the sign, symbols, and whatever things given on the map. That is called interpretation. Okay, so students, in simple way, if I will say, the topic is then that is to show the actual configuration of the land, including height and the slope on the map, and to understand the signs and the symbols that are given on the map. That is the meaning of the topic. Okay, now students, as we know that our earth surface is uneven. Our earth surface is uneven. Uneven means not equal, not same. Okay, some places we have hills, some places we have mountains, some places we have plains, and some we have plateaus. Okay, so all the physical features are not same. They are different from each other in terms of their height and the slopes. Now students, all these physical features are also known as physical landscape. Okay, so students, as I told you that all these features are different from each other in terms of their heights and their slopes. Okay, and students, all these physical features like mountains, hills, plateaus, plains, all these are three-dimensional, right? They are 3D. But students, we know that our map is 2D. It means two-dimensional. It means on the map we can only show two dimensions, and that are length and breadth. We cannot show height on the map. So students, if you are going to show all these physical features like hills and mountains on the map, then it is not possible to show their height, right? We can show their length and breadth, it means their extension on the map, but we cannot show their height and their slope. Okay, so students, now this became a big problem, how to show height or the altitude of this landscape and their slopes on the map. But students, cartographers have taken out some methods. They found some methods by which we can depict or we can show heights and the slopes of these landscape on the map. Okay, and these methods are here I have written. Okay, first we have here hachuring, then hill shading, form lines, spot height, triangulation method, benchmark, and contours. All these methods we will see one by one, but we are going to learn deeply about seventh one, that is contours. Okay, contours we are going to learn deeply. So without wasting time, let us start and let us learn first method, that is hachuring. Okay, so what is hachuring? Students, hachuring is a method of showing slopes of the land. Okay, slopes of the land. And hachuring method, in hachuring method, short lines are used to show the slope of the land. Okay, short lines, and these lines shows or tells us about the slope of the land, how steep it is and how gentle it is. Okay, now if these hachures are very closer to each other, then the slope is very steep. And if this hachures line and these are very short lines. These lines are a bit apart from each other, then this indicates the slope is gentle. Okay, and if there is no hachures on the map, then it means that region is flat. That region is flat or plain. Again, I am telling you, students, hachures are very short lines which show the slopes of the land. And if hachures are very closer to each other, if it is drawn very closer to each other, then there it has steep slope, and if it is drawn apart from each other or far from each other, then there is gentle slope. And if there is plain, then there will be no short lines. It means no hachures will be there. And you can see on your book, figure is given of that hachuring method. Okay, and here also you can see this figure is of hachuring, and here you can see here hachures. It means short lines are drawn very closer to each other. It means this region has steep slope, and here you can see you have it means hachures are little bit or bit far away from each other. It means here we have gentle slope. Okay, and here in this region, students, in this region you can see there are no hachures. It means there is a plain or flat surface. Okay, so I think you got idea about the hachuring method. Okay, now students, hachuring method has some disadvantages. Now first disadvantage of the hachuring method is hachuring method does not give the actual height of the land. Okay, actual height of the land. As here you can see in this figure or in this map, here we can understand, we get idea about the slope of the land, but we do not have any idea, or we did not get any idea about the height of this place. So that is the first disadvantage or demerit of the hachuring method. And second disadvantage of the hachuring method is that if we are showing very high mountain, then these hachures, it means these short lines come very closer to each other, and this can make other physical feature disappear from the map. Okay, it means they will cover that area, and we cannot see other features like rivers and all from the map. Other symbols and signs we cannot see. Okay, so these two are the disadvantages of hachuring method. So students, hill shading is also same kind of method. It means it also only show the slope of the land, and hill shading can be done by two ways, or it also has two methods. So in first method, what we have to do, suppose this is a mountain. Okay, mountain, and this is a steep slope, and this one is gentle slope. Okay, slope in Hindi, do you know what is the meaning of slope? Dhalan, right? Dhalan. So if it is like this, then this is steep slope, and if it is like this, then it is gentle slope. So this is steep slope and this is gentle slope. So what you have to do, we have to imagine one source of light from here. What we have to imagine? You have to imagine one source of light from here, and we have to put, or we have to imagine a source of light from here. And when we do this, what we will get? So what we will get? We will get shadow. Here in this side we will get shadow. It means on the steeper slope we will get shadow, and if slope is gentle, then we will get here lighted area. It means because this slope is very steep, so that's why it will cast shadow. It will cast shadow, and this slope is very gentle. There will be no shadow, and every rays of the light will strike on it and it will shine. It means there will be no shadow. So now we have to make hill shading of this mountain or this peak. Okay, then what we will do? This part we have shadow, so we will make this part bit dark. Okay, it means we will shade it darkly, and this part we have gentle slope, and this part we don't have any shadow. Then we leave this region unshaded. In this way we can show the relief. It means especially slope of the landscape or the hill or the mountain on the map. Okay. Now students, second method, what we have to do, here also we have to use light only. Okay, so these are the mountains, okay, or hills. So in second method what we have to do, from now you know that this is north direction, this is south, this is east, and this is west, and this is northwest, and this is northeast, southeast, okay, then this is southwest. Okay, so from northwest direction we have to cast, we have to imagine a light. Okay, so when we imagine a light, or when we throw a light from here, what happen, this region will cast shadow, yes or no? This region will get light, and this region will cast shadow, and again this region will get light, and this region will get shadow, this region will get light, and this region will get shadow. Now what we have to do, we have to represent this shaded, it means this shadow on the map. Suppose this is our topographical map, and now we have to show this on the map. So what we have to do, we have to shade this region very lightly. Okay, very lightly, this region very lightly in this way, and this region, okay, here we have shadow, so we have to shade it very darkly. Similarly, here we have light, so we don't have shadow, so what happened, we will shade it very lightly, or we will not shade, and this region we have shadow, and we have to shade it very darkly. Okay, similarly this region we have light, we don't have shadow, so lightly we will shade it, and this region we have shadow, again darkly we will shade this region. So this is called hill shading. Okay, I think you got idea about this. Okay, so these are basic concept, only these things you have to learn. So students, hill shading depends on light and shadow casted by it. Okay, so now students, we are moving to the third method, that is form lines. Okay, so what are form lines? Form lines are also contours. They are also contours, but they are broken contours. You can say they are broken lines. So that's why I'm saying that they are broken contours. And these form lines, it means these broken contours gives us information about the direction of the slope and their steepness. Okay, beside this, no any other informations are given by this form line. And form lines are drawn for those regions which are very difficult for doing survey, and it means very difficult to reach that region. So those who do survey, these people merely observe from far away, and they just give their assumptions about the height or the about their slope and the steepness of that area. Okay, so that is called form lines. Okay, it means form lines are shown of those regions which are not surveyed actually, but they are make their own assumptions. They make their what they do, they just observe it and they give their idea about that region. Okay, so how these form lines are look? They are look like this. They are broken contours. I told you they are broken contours, so that's why they are broken lines in this way, and these are called form lines. Okay, form lines, remember it. And as I told you, these form lines are drawn only to those region which are complicated and very difficult to reach there, and those who do survey, they merely observe it and they give their own assumptions, and on the basis of their observation they make these form lines which give us about the idea or information about the direction of slope and their steepness. Okay, so that is form line. So form line also does not give us actual information about height of the place. So here you have seen all these three methods till now did not give or do not give us any information or any actual information about the height of the region. Okay, now next we have here fourth, that is spot height. What? Spot height. So in spot height or in this method, suppose here we have this land, okay, this area, and what we did, suppose I went there, this region, and what I did, here we have one small hill, then I did survey here, and what I got, the height of the hill is 250 meter. Okay, so what I will do, simply we will write this region on the map. Suppose this is map and this is actual ground. Okay, so this, here we have one mountain, here we have one mountain, and what I did a survey here, and what I got, the height of the mountain is 250 meter. So simply I will write here one small dot, and I will write here 250. Okay, small dot and 250. And now I move this side, and here we have one plateau, and what I did survey here, again I got height of this region is 80 meter. Okay, 80 meter. So simply I will write in this map here one dot, and I will write 80. Okay, so this is called spot height. Spot height. And again I move here, I did survey here, and I got this region's height is suppose 50 meter. So I will write here one dot and 50 meter. So if you see these kind of numbers with one dot, then you have to recognize on the map. If you see on your topographical sheet, which you are going to get in your examination, if you see this point and this number, then that is spot height. It means height of this region, and this is actual height of that region, and that is, these are given or these are written after doing actual survey of the region. Okay, so if spot height give us actual height of the region, and it is given after, or it is written after doing actual survey of this region. Okay, so anywhere, suppose you or I did survey of this region, and what I got, height of this suppose this building, for example, not building, some features we have here, one hill. Okay, and this is 180 meter, but I got height of this hill is 180 meter, and it is above the sea level. Okay, 180 meter above the sea level. Then I will write one dot here in the map and 180. So you have to understand that it is spot height. It means this region, whatever physical features we have, it has height of 180 meter. So that is called spot height. Okay, I think it is clear now. Okay, now next we have here triangulation method. Okay, triangulation method. So in this method also we get height of the region above the sea level by doing actual survey. Okay, so in this method, triangulation method, we use trigonometry. What we use? Trigonometry. It means height and distance. So if you are students of mathematics, then you might have idea about this trigonometry, and there we have one chapter, height and distance. By calculating that what called theta, or the angle of the region, or the triangle, we can find out height or the distance of the any places. So in this method, that is in triangulation method, we use trigonometry, and after finding height of the particular features or particular region with a triangle, we will write triangle, and here we will write 250. Suppose this is a map, triangle and 250. I will write here triangle and 80. I will write here triangle and 110. So what it means, that this region is surveyed, and this region is surveyed. It is actually surveyed, and height was find out, or the altitude was find out by the method of triangulation method. And what is the height? That is 250 meter. It is always given in meter, not in centimeter or kilometer. Okay, remember, only in meter. So here this triangle and 80, it means this region is surveyed, actually surveyed by the surveyor, that team, those who do survey, and it is surveyed, and height of this region was find out by the method of triangulation. So that's why we have written here a triangle and 80. So 80 meter. The height of this region is 80 meters. Similarly, here we have 110 meters. If it is written 220, then height of this region is 220 meter. So this is also done by actual survey, and it give us actual height of the region, and this is triangulation method. Very simple, very easy. Okay. Now next we have here benchmark. What? Benchmark or benchmark. This is also one method by which we can show the height of the region. What you have seen? This shows only what? Slope of the region, whether it is steep or gentle, and it shows the direction also. Then this is also same, but spot height give us height of the region. Triangulation method also give us height of the region, actual height of the region, and these spot height, triangulation method, benchmark, and contours, all these are done after or written after doing actual survey of this of the region. Okay, so next we have benchmark. Now what is benchmark? Benchmark. Okay, now benchmark is mostly written on the stones or the building. Are you getting my point? Benchmark are written only on some stones and some building. It means man-made features, on the man-made features. Okay, suppose here we have here one area, and here we have one building. Okay, and this is man-made. Okay, so what surveyor do? What they do? They measure the height of this building above the sea level. Suppose this building is height of this building, okay, is 90 meter above the sea level. Then what they will write on this building? They will write BM 90. What they will write? BM 90. B means bench, M means mark. Benchmark 90. And suppose here we have one rock or big stone, and this surveyor, what they do? They do survey and they get idea about the height of this stone from above the sea level. Suppose it is of 30. Then what they will do? They will write BM 30 or 40. BM 40. So by this we have to understand BM, benchmark 40. It means this stone is 40 meter away above from the sea level, and this building is 90 meter away from the sea level. So this is benchmark. What? Benchmark. Benchmark is written as BM, and the number, that number will be the height of this region in meter, of that region in meter. Suppose here I am writing 250. So BM 250 means benchmark 250. And mostly these things are written on the man-made features. Okay, I think these concepts are clear for you. Okay, so benchmark 250. So spot height with one dot, they will write their height of that region. In triangulation method with a triangle, they will write height of that region, and in benchmark they will write BM, and they write height of that feature from above, from the sea level. Okay, now next we have here contours. What? Contours. And this concept is very, very, very important for us.